welcome in. I'm Natalie. Thanks for joining me today, focusing on hip flexors. So that space right here at your hip crease might have been a little sore lately. That can happen just from sitting a lot. So if you have an office job, or maybe you like to play video games, or you just happen to be sitting in a chair frequently, and for many other reasons. But these stretches will help kind of work a little bit of that out. And before getting started, you can grab maybe a blanket, or even if you have like a pillow or a bolster, that may come in handy later if that's something that you need. The blanket may be specifically under the knees for one of the stretches in practice today. We'll go ahead and get started in broken toe pose. So this is just to stretch out the feet. So coming up onto your knees, and then feet closer together and fanning out all of your toes wide. And then pressing your toes down into your mat. Then from here, just finding your level of intensity. So kind of focusing on feeling stretches today and letting them be a little bit intense or feeling a little bit of heat, obviously avoiding anything painful. So from here, just finding your level of intensity as you add more weight towards the back of your feet, the more intense the pose will become. And this one we won't hold very long because this can tend to get intense pretty quickly. So just focus on relaxing your body here, just kind of letting your weight, gravity pull you down, and then working to untense your face, your shoulders, even your legs and your feet. Just feel that kind of working through your ankles and your toes. And then just continuing to breathe while you're here, maybe even finding a neck roll or two. We'll only hold this pose for maybe about 15 more seconds. So just breathing smoothly through it. And then maybe just notice the sensations in your feet. And then coming out slowly, probably slower than you want to. So just releasing out and letting the blood flow return back to normal in your feet. Maybe just lightly kind of tapping your toes on the ground, working that out. You could even kind of roll out ankles a little bit if that feels good. And then moving on to find child's pose. So coming into a kneeling position, legs together. And just notice how that already feels. This can really kind of stretch out your ankles as well. So just noticing the level of stretch in your legs already. And then from here, just slowly lowering down. Option to add something under your belly if kind of crunching all the way down onto your legs doesn't feel good. And then working to let your head just relax down. You can have arms out if that's feeling better, or arms back, so just making choices there. And once you find your child's pose, just settling in. And again, looking to relax your body. Maybe notice the sensation at your hip crease. And use your breath while you're here to just breathe through the pose, through the stretch, through any intensity. And then doing a scan from head to toe, just beginning to relax different muscles, just letting your physical body relax down to gravity. And then tuning in to your breathing, your rhythm, to keep your mind with your body in this place on your mat. And you'll be here about 30 more seconds. Maybe focus your attention on the parts of your body connecting with your mat, with the earth. Tuning in to the tops of your feet and your shins, your knees. As you're breathing, notice your chest, your belly pressing maybe into a blanket or into your legs. If your head's touching down, feel that connection. And then take one deep round of breath. Nice big inhale. And open mouth exhale, sigh something out. And slowly coming out of this child's pose. If you've used any props, go ahead and set them aside. Even massaging out your head a little bit. And then from here, stretching out, so getting down onto your belly, moving into a Sphinx pose. Notice, again, sensations at your hip crease, at your hip flexors. Just letting your legs be relaxed. Feet can be touching, legs can be apart, just whatever feels good. Notice how that changes your stretch. And then also finding a compression for the low back here. So just noticing that intensity as well. Knowing you can always come down lower. Or if you're looking for more, you can come up a little bit higher. So just settling into Sphinx, counter stretching child's pose. Just relaxing as many muscles as you can. And tuning back into your breath while you're finding your body in this shape. And while you're untensing your muscles, tune into your breathing. You can notice if the pace has changed, if it's a little different than in the last pose. Child's pose is a little more curled up, a little more inward. And Sphinx, even though we're down on our bellies, is more of a heart opener, a little bit more exposed. So just tuning into differences and noticing your intensity, breathing into those sensations at your low back. And clenching your jaw. Trying to relax your shoulders. Maybe notice your belly pushing down into your mat as you breathe. Just feel your body moving with your breath. Relaxing your legs. Just knowing you'll be here about 1 more minute. Working to find stillness in your physical body for that minute. Just letting your body sink into the shape, sinking into the stretch. And then following your breath, using it to work through the intensity and to keep your mental body on your mat as well. Let's take a round of breath together. Nice big inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Sigh it out. And from here, just slowly coming all the way down to your belly. You can either look to your right or left. Maybe let your arms come down by your side. Just finding a few rounds of breath here, noticing your low back. An option to kind of give it a little massage. And finding one more stretch for the legs while we're here. So bend in your left leg, grabbing kind of by your ankle around your foot with your left arm. And then just kind of pulling your foot towards you. Option to sit up a little bit if that feels better. Just notice where that changes the stretch, where that adds or changes intensity. I'm just holding that just for a moment. And releasing that down, switching sides. So pulling your right foot towards your right glute, towards your right butt cheek. And you can stay laying down, you can pop up a little bit, your choice. And just pulling that in, feeling the stretch. Just letting that be intense for a moment. And then releasing, pushing yourself up onto all fours. Next, moving into a baby dragon pose. So starting with your right foot, just bringing your right foot up, working to have your right knee stacked over your right ankle. You can always kind of move that in a direction that feels good during this pose. And then scooting your left knee back farther, kind of coming into a deeper lunge. This is where maybe having a blanket under your knee might feel nice if you have sensitive knees. And then just lowering your chest down any amount. So that may just be staying up on your forearms or on your hands, your palms. Or maybe that's coming down to forearms, or if you have blocks and you want to rest down. And then always an option as well to let your right leg kind of splay out a little bit. So you could always let your foot roll over onto the pinky edge side, or keep your foot planted firmly. So just finding your options, finding your version of baby dragon, and then settling in. And again, in this pose, looking to breathe through the intensity. And doing what you'd like with your head, with your neck. You can keep that up or let that drop down. So I'm just focusing on the sensations in your legs. Noticing and breathing into your left hip flexor as you open through the right hip. And keeping your breath smooth and steady, just letting it guide you through the intensity of this pose. Knowing you're not going to be here too much longer, as this pose can feel intense pretty quickly. But while you're here, using your breath in areas where you're noticing that heat building, just taking a deep breath, sending your breath to that area. Then exhale, breathing out the discomfort, breathing out some of the intensity. But also finding stillness while you're doing that, trying to relax what you can. Notice if you've tensed up your face. See if you can release some muscles in your legs a little bit. Notice that. Maybe turn up the sensations in the stretch a little bit. Just finding a few rounds of breath. You're almost done on this side. Let's take one round of breath together before moving on. Big inhale, breathe in. Exhale, sigh it out, breathe out. And slowly just coming out, maybe just starting to shift your weight backwards. Start to straighten out your right leg, your front leg. Just notice how that feels. Feeling a bend here after stretching that out, having that extended. And maybe just move a couple times back and forth. Just rocking weight forward and backward gently. And one more time before moving on to the other side. Just finding a quick seal pose here. And then setting up baby dragon on the other side. So bringing your left foot forward. And having that on the outside of your hands. And then sliding your right knee back. You're noticing how your knees feel here. Option to set a blanket underneath your back knee. Then just feeling the difference of this side. Maybe noticing if you're staying up on palms. Maybe you're dropping down, propping yourself up on blocks. Again, option to turn and roll your foot towards your left pinky toe. Feel a little bit more opening through the left hip there. Notice if that intensifies the stretch to your back leg at your right hip flexor. Just finding your baby dragon. Again, knowing you can breathe through this. You won't be here for too long. So right away, finding your breath, using it as a tool. Letting your body relax into the intensity of this pose. So relaxing your feet, unclenching your jaw. If it's working for you, even relaxing your head. Think about letting your hips or your pelvis drop towards the mat, just letting gravity pull you down a little bit more. Noticing the areas where you're feeling that intensity building. Maybe it's competing between the opening through your left hip or the stretch for your back leg, your right hip flexor. Then sending your breath to those areas. Just knowing you can breathe through this for one more minute. letting your body sink into this shape. Just getting benefits of these stretches while finding stillness and letting that heat build. Just a few more rounds of breath. Continuing to relax your face, being still, even relaxing your belly, your core. Let's take a round of breath together, big breath in. And exhale, sigh something out. And slowly moving out of this pose, noticing those sensations, which can also be really intense. As you move, shift your weight back a little bit, maybe stretching out your left leg, straightening that knee, bending at your right hip crease. An option to kind of move, shift back and forth a couple times. One more time here. And again, maybe finding that the Sphinx pose we did earlier, even seal, which is just pushing down into your palms, straightening out your arms. Just stretching out those hip flexors before moving on into saddle pose. So kneeling, but then spreading feet wide enough so that you can sit your tush down on your mat. This is stretching out your ankles, your legs. This will also end up working or stretching out the hip flexors as well. So noticing if your tush is on the ground, option to recline. If your butt isn't touching all the way, that's always an option to grab a blanket or a pillow to bring the ground closer to you. And if you do need to prop up, just kind of stay there for this pose. But if you are all the way down, option to start reclining. Another area that you can use props in to support you. But that can just start by arching your back and dropping your head back. If you can go down a little bit farther, coming down maybe to elbows. Or if you can, lying down all the way flat on your back and really just pushing your shoulders down. So finding a little bit of a back bend here in this pose. And just working into your level of saddle. And tuning into your breath. Maybe noticing your discomfort right away in this pose. Even though this can be intense on ankles, even watching your knees, knowing, of course, if anything starts to get painful, to come out of this shape and find something that feels good. But it can also be a little discomfort just in the heart opening. Kind of stretching, letting yourself be vulnerable. Notice if it changes the pace of your breath at all. Relaxing your neck and your face as much as you can. Trying to let your belly be soft in this pose. Relaxing leg muscles. Just feeling gravity pulling your tailbone down. And breathing through this pose for just about 1 more minute. Noticing where you're feeling the most sensation. And sending your breath to that area. Breathing out some of that stress, some of that intensity, letting it go. And finding stillness, just relaxing as much as you can for the final few rounds of breath. Let's take a round of breath together before moving on. Big breath in. Exhale, open mouth, sigh something out. And slowly moving out. If your head is tipped back or reclined, let that be the last thing to come up. Again, just moving as slow as you need, feeling the sensations, maybe some intensity as you come out of that pose as well. Maybe moving neck and shoulders first before eventually coming out, letting the legs stretch out long. And just settling into a caterpillar pose, a forward fold. Just feel that release at the backs of your knees, even your ankles, the tops of your feet. Be really hunching, rounding, letting your head, your neck stretch out. I'm just holding this for a few rounds of breath. Again, trying to relax. Just feeling a little bit of relief. Finding these opposite movements. Some positions in the body after saddle. Relax your face, shoulders, belly. Unclench something in your legs. Let's do a round of breath here together. Deep inhale. Big exhale. Let gravity pull you down. Sigh something out. And slowly rolling back up from here. And just coming to a cross-legged position. Thank you for joining me today in this sequence focusing on hip flexors. Namaste, yogis.